Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers. It's Kieran here, and I'm about to go out and do my first run in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, as is Nick, and we're going to be telling you our first impressions of this new shoe, which follows a shoe that was hugely popular on this channel. All the Run Testers loved it, won a lot of awards with us. Going to find out if the Speed 3 is better than the Speed 2. Let's go take a run. So let's get straight into some of the key details then. Weight-wise, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 are a whisker lighter than the two. They're coming in at 236 grams or 8.3 ounces in a UK men's size 8.5, which was my size. That's versus the Speed 2, which came in at 238 grams or 8.4 ounces in the same size. When it comes to stack, the Speed has a marginally higher stack of Power Run PB foam. Comes in with 36 mils in the rear foot, 28 mils in the forefoot. That's compared to the 35.5 mils in the rear of the Speed 2 and a 27.5 mils in the forefoot of the Speed 2. So under the forefoot and under the midfoot, Saucony has given the current model 0.5 mils more midsole foam. The drop, however, stays the same at 8 millimeters. Another thing that's changed, the price. That's gone up a little. It's now £165 in the UK or $160 in the US. That compared to £155 in the UK and $160 in the US prior. So let's have a quick whip round of the shoes and tell you what's new and what's different. Well, there's quite a lot actually that's changed here. The uppers have changed. We've got new uppers. We've dropped the dual layered mesh on the top here. We've got a single layered mesh, which is lighter. It's a bit more flexible. It's a bit more breathable. It's wider as well. It's a bit more kind of overall, a bit more airy on the shoe. You've also got slightly more padded laces than you had on the Speed 2. Slightly more comfortable, easier to lace down and lock down. So the tongues have also changed. You had a half gusseted tongue on both of these. On the Speed 3 now, that's much, much thinner. There's less cushioning on the tongue. And actually the gusset on it, the bits that connect in here inside the shoe, are much wider. So they're a bit narrower on the Speed 2 than they are on the Speed 3. And I think that kind of helps with making sure you get that kind of fit on the foot and the tongue stays in place. Up into the back and into the kind of heel collars, you've got less cushioning here on the heel collar of the Speed 3. That's been reduced a little bit. There was a little bit more padding, particularly in and around the kind of the main sort of back of the kind of the heel collar here. It's slightly been reduced. On the Speed 3, you've still got a fairly cushioned heel collar, but it's almost got like a roll top at the top, and then it goes a bit thinner down sort of through the rest of the wall of the shoe. It's still nicely padded up here around the back at the top, just under the Achilles, and that makes for sort of super comfort. On the outside too, you've also got this sort of slightly more reinforced extra bit of plastic here, which I think is there just to sort of hold that heel in a bit more kind of shape and give it a little bit more resilience. It doesn't kind of bend back. It's fairly sort of stiff and firm, so that isn't going to crumple. But I guess really what's important here when we talk about things is the midsole. You've still got a speed roll kind of geometry of the kind of Power Run PB foam in that midsole. Within that, you've got a nylon plate. That plate has a different shape to it. You've now got an S-curved plate, and it also has some wings on it. And the wings there, kind of protruding from the sides, are there to kind of help with stability and a bit more kind of, I guess, overall kind of a base of this shoe to ride. And that is also the case with the kind of, you've got more width here in the shoe, basically a wider platform to run on in the midfoot and in the heel. It's not as narrow down the shank either. So there's kind of more kind of platform to run on, and those kind of wings of that nylon plate is also there to help with that, to add the stability. Flip them over then, and essentially, I mean, you've got different traction pattern here, but it looks like you're using the same kind of rubber compound on the outsole to add that bit of extra grip. We found the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2 pretty grippy, and the Speed 3 looks like it will deliver the same. And yeah, I mean, and also sort of there for that durability and protection. But yeah, not too much to report in terms of what's happening on the outsole here. Fit then, and I ran in a UK 8.5, which was my size. I run true to size in this, nice and roomy, good hold, just felt well balanced on the foot. In terms of the uppers wrapping, yeah, I think like a super comfortable fit, true to size, and I think they're kind of, I've got quite wide feet, they're sort of plenty wide enough. I think plenty roomy enough. And if you went true to size in the Speed 2, I think it's going to be the same here in the Speed 3.
So I'm true to size in the Speed 3. I was a bit worried when they talked about kind of a wider fit in the shoe, because I have a very narrow foot, and the fit, even on the previous version, I had to pull the laces quite tight to get a nice hold around the midfoot, which I've had to do from the off here. Like in the previous versions of the shoe, it would just tend to narrow up over time as I used it more and more, the lacing. But this time I made a bit more of an effort to pull the laces nice and tight along the length of the foot of the shoe to get a nice secure fit, and it was absolutely fine. Yeah, true to size, no slipping around the heel or anything like that, and a good amount of room in the toe box.
So I'm about 3 miles into this first run test. I've taken them on tarmac to get here. I'm now on a little bit of compacted trail, like you can see behind me. And yeah, I mean, from the moment you put the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 on, it's comfort all the way. They're more comfortable, I think, than the Speed 2. Definitely roomier in the toe box. They are a bit more airy with those uppers. I think you can definitely feel the sort of widened base, that platform. I know some people complained about the stability of the Speed 2. I didn't really find that to be much of a problem. But you can definitely feel there's a kind of wider platform underfoot. There's a definite kind of trend for that happening in shoes. We saw it with the Saucony Ride 15, and they've definitely kind of done that here as well. And yeah, these are a stable ride. They're a stable, bouncy, springy ride. I can definitely feel that Power Run PB foam kicking in. The S curved nylon plate doing its job as well. These are a good springy daily trainer.
Hello, welcome to Paris. I am out here for the Saucony House of Speed event, the launch of the new Endorphin Pro and Speed shoes in Europe. Just got the Speed, I just checked in and got the Speed 3, they're on my feet now. I'm going to head out for a first run of them. I'm doing 12 miles, the first 6 at 4 minutes per kilometre pace, and then the last 6 at 3 minutes 45 seconds per kilometre pace. My coach loves to mix up miles and kilometres just to keep it interesting. So I'm going to head out now, test out the shoes, and I'll check in along the way if I don't get horribly lost on the streets of Paris. Oh, so back from the run now. Just had a lovely run. It's really sunny and hot here. It's really nice. There's a fantastic cycle lane. Basically ran to a canal and just took a cycle lane alongside a canal all the way out of Paris centre. It was just perfect. Really good surface all the way. Dead flat, nice views, glorious sunshine. Very enjoyable first run all round in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, and the shoe itself lived up to my high expectations. I'll say it felt like a mite softer at start. When I was running I was running the first half, like I say, 6 miles at 4 minutes per k, so I was running that fairly relaxed pace, and it felt a mite softer maybe than the previous version to me, maybe, which is obviously nice. And then when I started to up the pace, you know, got a good, firm, responsive ride, rolled through very nicely. By the end of the run, a little bit of foot fatigue under my left forefoot, but it's fairly common for me in new shoes due to the way I run, the way I kind of heel strike onto that thing. So it's still a pretty smooth ride all round, and I didn't notice the increased stability of the winged plate myself. There were some kind of cobbled sections and big rocks, and it was a bit uneven, and the shoe wasn't perfect there, but you know, it was fine. It's always been fine for me on that front. So yeah, all in all, very enjoyable first run in the Speed. It still feels like the Speed to me, the previous versions, which is a good thing. And maybe the changes made will make it a little bit more accessible to other people as well, which is great.
So I've just finished off my first run in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. I did about 6 miles in the mixture of paces, did some kind of faster miles, some steady miles, usual stuff, mixture of tarmac, a little bit of compacted trails. And overall, I have to say I'm impressed with these shoes. They're as comfortable. And overall, I have to say I'm really impressed with these shoes. I actually think they're more comfortable in the uppers. There's a bit more room than you get on the Endorphin Speed 2. They've got a broader base, which means extra stability, but they haven't lost any of their punch. If anything, I feel like there's a bit more kind of cushioning spring and response coming out of these shoes. They're definitely slightly softer underfoot than you had with the Speed 2. That, I think, for many people is going to be a big improvement. They're going to like that. They're going to prefer that sort of broader base at the heel and at the forefoot. And yeah, I think, you know, overall, they've done it again, Saucony, here with this shoe. It's just a joy to run in, basically. It's so comfortable. It had a range of paces. It's really good when you're kind of going easy. It definitely picks up when you're going fast and engages that foam, and that S-shaped curved kind of nylon plate works a treat. I mean, this is a shoe that I could definitely run a marathon in. I'd race a marathon and I think I'd still do well. And it's, you know, it's a bit more kind of natural feeling really than some of those other sort of carbon races that you're going to get, like the Alpha Fly. I think there's many people who would kind of enjoy running a marathon in this shoe. And yeah, so that first run has been absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to run the Danube in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2. That was the shoe that I chose before I got a chance to run in these sort of Speed 3s. But now, I mean, this is a shoe, the Speed 3, I think that would take me marathon a day for 70 days and be so versatile and comfortable. You know, that's just my impression from this first run, but I don't see that changing. I mean, I can get a sense of this shoe, and it's a knockout shoe. So what I'm going to go and do now is I'm going to go and do a mile. I've got the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 on one foot, on my left foot, and the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2 on the right foot. I'm going to go and run a mile just to get those sort of comparisons dialed in. And I will give you a little update after that about how these two shoes really compare on the run. So I've just completed that mile with one foot in the Endorphin Speed 2 on the left foot, one foot in the Endorphin Speed 3 on the right foot. And there's quite a marked difference actually. I mean, there's a couple of notes here. The first thing is the Speed 2 is much firmer, much narrower base. The Speed 3 has a much wider base. It's much more soft underfoot. You sink a lot more into that main kind of cush. And, you know, then I actually think it takes a little bit longer to activate and come out of that. But when you do, there's quite a lot of spring. On the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2, it's firmer, you don't sink quite so low, and I think that maybe encourages sort of slightly quicker foot pickups. So again, sort of high cadence. I've run a bit more with high cadence in the Speed 2 than the Speed 3. Comfort-wise, there's definitely more room in the Speed 3 than the Speed 2. They fit a lot narrower, the Speed 2, particularly around kind of right up at the base of the toes and that kind of widest part of the foot, coming back, you know, in the kind of mid-foot sort of section. Sorry, coming to the back of the kind of forefoot section. No, what am I talking about? It's, you know, basically on the knuckle, that bit of the cross of the foot where the knuckle of the big toe is. They're a little bit tighter on the Speed 2. I never found that to be uncomfortable. I found this to be roomy enough, and I quite like the kind of hugging fit, but you're going to get, I think, a much more roomy, airy fit in the Speed 3. Now, before I came in to do this mile, I just sort of raved a bit about how the Speed 3 feels like a much better shoe. It's different. I mean, it's definitely different. And this is why I do these tests where I run 1 mile with one on each foot. It's a different sensation for me. I think they're both great shoes. Personally, maybe though, think that for some things I like the firmer ride of the Speed 2 as opposed to the Speed 3. And also, I'm not always sold entirely by the extra width. You know, we got a bit of extra width on the ride 15, I think, as well. And in the Speed 3, we're getting that the same here. It does make it feel like there's a bit more shoe underfoot. Not heavier, but just kind of, I don't know, there's just a bit more presence of the shoe. Whereas I feel like you're a little bit more nimble in the Speed 2. But, you know, I mean, again, these are both shoes that I would happily run a marathon in. They're both shoes that I can run all day long in. Both shoes that I can run a mixture of paces very, very comfortably in. And I think, you know, even when I go to run the Danube, I will be mixing it up between these two shoes for sure. Anyway, so we'll go back to the office and we'll wrap up this first run test of the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. And yeah, we'll bring you a bit more on that in a sec. So my first run verdict with the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, then this is a fantastic shoe. The Speed 2 was a killer shoe. This shoe follows suit. Loved it, really enjoyed running in it. It's got great comfort, it's got great spring and response. You could feel that it's going to work, you know, benefiting and reducing the fatigue in legs over all kinds of distances. And you can feel it's going to be a super versatile shoe as well. It coped with slower paces. It was able to kind of shift when I wanted to pick up the pace. I think Saucony has basically done it again. I mean, I don't normally want to sort of give such a glowing verdict after one run in a shoe, but I could just tell with this shoe from the miles that I've done in it already that this is a killer shoe. It's followed suit with the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2. It runs differently. It's not exactly the same. I think there is a difference. I'm not really sure if I prefer the Speed 2 or the Speed 3, but I know that they're both fantastic shoes and I'm going to enjoy running in this. So I think there's going to be a lot to recommend for this, and I don't see my full review changing from this first run review, but we shall see once we've done some more miles.
So very early verdict on the Speed 3 is that I like it. You know, it's the Speed has been probably my favourite shoe of the last few years. This new shoe feels like it's going to do the business. Today it's a great example of like a good, hard but not all out training run, and kind of I'm going to be doing a lot of in the build up to the Berlin Marathon over the summer here in hot conditions. And the shoe, you know, felt really nice underfoot, comfortable, quick. I still think it's going to deliver at a level very close to a full carbon shoe as the previous versions have, whilst being a little bit softer and more cushioned and comfortable on the slower miles, like I did at the start of the run today. So yeah, also I love the colour. I love this pink, so that's a massive plus to me because I didn't love the launch colour of the Speed 2, so this is a big upgrade on that front. So loads more miles to come. I'm going to go and head to the rest of the event today and see more about the shoes and the new Pro 3. But yeah, so first run, very enjoyable in the Endorphin Speed 3.
So there you have it, that's been our first run test of the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, an absolute cracker of a shoe. We're going to put more miles in this. I am certainly going to put a lot more miles in this. I might try and put about 1,000 in it, come back to you and see how it has held up from my run along the River Danube. If you have any questions about the shoe, hit us up right now in the comments below. I will answer them in the full review, or we'll try and answer them immediately down there if we can. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified when our full review comes out. We'll have a big multi-tester review with 5 or 6 different runners from the Run Testers giving you their verdict on this shoe. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about it, and we hope to see you again soon on the Run Testers.